Doobity-doobity-doo. Doobity-doobity-doom. Ba-doom. Ba-doom. Boom. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam. Doobie-doop. Shooby-doop. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Ba-dum, boom, boom. Ba-da-dum, boom, boom. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Biddy-doo-biddy-doo-biddy, bam, bam. Biddy-doo-biddy-boo-biddy, boom, boom. Biddy-doo-biddy-boo-biddy, bam, biddy-biddy-boo-biddy, boom, boom, boom. Ba-da-dum, boom, boom. Ba-da-dum, boom, boom. Da-dum, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Bam, 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 bam. Biddy-doo-biddy-doo-biddy-ding-biddy-ding. Hello, and welcome back to Decolonizing Is. My name is Yesenia Guadalupe, and today I want to talk about a very complicated situation. And I will do my best as somebody born and raised in Miami, Florida, to share what I have observed, and I invite you to have a dialogue. So, Haiti and Cuba are currently in turmoil. That helps the US imperialist project to continue. Any instability that we see in the Caribbean, in Latin America, is to the benefit of the United States, of colonialism. The reason that the US loves to intervene in this area is because if the people, our people, see that self-determination is possible, that being a sovereign nation on this hemisphere is possible, apart from the US imperialist machine, that is a threat to the United States. It is not in the United States' best interest for people to govern themselves. And I urge all of us to care about what happens in the United States as much as we care about what happens in our countries of origin. The people that are left in Cuba, the people that are left in Nicaragua, Venezuela, Haiti, have the right to elect their governments or to run their countries however the fuck they see fit. The US intervening in any way is us acting as if we have a moral superiority or a moral authority over people and how they decide to govern themselves. In Cuba, the repression is awful. The people in Cuba are suffering. They are. There's no argument about that. But the US benefits from selling all of us a rhetoric of communism and socialism when Cuba at this point is a dictatorship. And what politicians do beautifully in America, especially Cuban American politicians, do beautifully in America is be opportunists and take these moments of social resistance and spin it to make socialist, communist ideologies a threat. Whenever you see a politician, a US politician, take an opportunity to talk about or to denounce the police violence, violence against protesters, ask yourself, do these people stand for those same values in our country, in the United States? I'm talking about Marco Rubio, I'm talking about Ron DeSantis, I'm talking about people that are actively oppressing citizens of the United States, actively restricting people's rights to vote, actively restricting people's rights to protest. And the cognitive dissonance is how we as Latin people can denounce Black Lives Matter and denounce protesting police brutality in the United States, but not when it happens in our countries. Why? Because we, as Latin people, have been brainwashed with anti-blackness to the point that we don't see how we're being unfair, how we are picking and choosing what oppression we decide is worth giving a fuck about. So if we're going to be in solidarity with poor and working class people, we need to be in solidarity with all poor and working class people. Not just cuando me conviene a mí. Not just when the flag is mine. Because guess the fuck what? Human suffering is what we're all trying to fight. And when we don't understand the history of this continent, when we don't understand how the United States manipulates us with media, both left and right-wing media, how they manipulate us into believing a certain narrative that is only going to further capitalism and imperialism, we are played. We are clowns. We look like fucking clowns. Y no se equivocan. The elites that fled Cuba when the revolution happened and set things up for Cuban people here politically to be at an advantage and to do well, are the same people that are destroying Miami-Dade County. They're the same people that, con sus chanchullos, hacen desastre. The shit that happened with the Surfside condominium, that building fell, and buildings in the beach are currently being evacuated because we want to cover up everything that's wrong with this system and all of the corruption that exists and all of the money that exchanges hands at the expense of people's lives. We want to cover it up with a fresh coat of paint, and we want to pretend it doesn't happen. And the more that we allow capitalism to make us part of its machine and to use us as tools against each other, against the poor and working class, against regular citizens that are just trying to live their fucking lives, the more this shit is gonna happen. If that building hadn't fallen down, those other condos that have had issues, that have had red flags waved, that are unsafe, wouldn't be evacuated right now. Why do we have to wait for tragedy to strike to give a fuck about people, or to hold people accountable, or to listen, tune in to what's happening and see the people that are responsible, even if they look like us, even if they speak with the same fucking language, even if they're from the same fucking country? Call your people out. Call your people out every time. Don't get trapped in this nationalist bullshit, because at the end of the day, humanity needs to be number one. All of our humanity. Not just the rich folks, not just the people with access, not just the people with privileges, all of us. So, tying all of this in to everything that's been happening lately with the Biden administration bombing the Middle East without any authority, to further building arms warfare that benefits cabinet people's pockets. The Biden administration also taking COVID funds that were earmarked for unemployment and sliding that shit over to the police. Do we see how the repression that happens in our countries, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, do we see how that is happening here? I hope we do. I hope we're just as fucking mad when somebody and somebody's right to live is infringed upon in our soil, regardless of whether we have a personal connection to that person or not. And until that happens, until we all realize that we need to be in working class solidarity, and until we realize that middle class folks are part of the working class, and stop acting like we are better than, above than, more hardworking than, more deserving of life and comfort and liberty than other people, until we realize that shit, this is gonna keep happening until la soga is on your fucking neck. And then, guess the fuck what? There ain't gonna be anybody left to fight. So I ask all of us, with the same enthusiasm that we have as a city, when the flag is from the motherland, I ask us to have that same level of enthusiasm when people are being fucking killed in Palestine, when the US is backing Israel, when the US is bombing the Middle East, when the US is intervening in sovereign governments like Haiti, because Haiti being able to govern itself without US intervention, what do you think is gonna happen to the US? How do you think people's minds are gonna expand? Seeing that it's possible. Everything that you're being told, question it. Question what I'm telling you. Look into it yourself. See what you feel, see what you believe. And see the connections between this cherry picking of suffering and who is allowed to protest freely, and their proximity to whiteness, and how that shields them from the same dangers that they're running from in the United States. Because once they pit us against each other, and they're doing a great job, once Democrats, Republicans, the status quo pits us against each other, we lose. So look into shit yourself, question what the media is telling you, see who in reality is your enemy, and see if what they're saying matches what they're doing. Are we in solidarity with all poor and working class people? Or are we only in solidarity with the ones that we think are worthy? Last year, 2020, the gap, the wealth transfer that occurred between working class folks, all of us, and the elite billionaires was the biggest one in modern history. Which means that if we were at a deficit with resources, ahora estamos in an unimaginable disadvantage. What does that mean? That means that we have the opportunity to resignarnos. There's something that's being coined the Great Resignation, where people are deciding for themselves to opt out of a system that has been oppressing them, and that they finally see doesn't give a fuck about them. Because what COVID did was show people where our priorities are as countries, and the US don't give a fuck if you die. The US don't give a fuck if your family dies. The US tells you to fend for your fucking self. So you know what your option is, or one of your options is? Disrupt, disengage, think for yourself. You always have that opportunity, and I welcome anybody who wants to have a dialogue, who wants to have a discourse, to have it. Not just with me, with each other, and to see and to imagine what world we want to live in, because this disaster that we're living through right now, all of these record high temperatures, the fucking effects of global warming that are destroying the planet, and the only planet that we have, and that are destroying our ability to live, we're responsible for that. So now, let's think collectively, dream, do. Where do we want to live? How do we want to live? Who do we want to protect? Is our protect and our love conditional? Because if it is, square fucking one, bro. Find your humanity. Find your empathy for everybody. So, with that being said, currently I've been working on a radio show that is my little grain of sand and takes us back to certain years, certain political moments, right? Through music. And reminds us that what we're living through right now is just a repetition. It's just a continuation of cycles that have existed through human history. And it is our turn now to see what direction we want to nudge this boat in. Where are we going? So, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this show, if you would like to engage with me or with any of us here at My XX Fly, please leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, follow us on social media. Let's be in community. Let's be in community, and let's build together, and let's see where we can build a bridge and where we need to squash shit. If you'd like to support our work, visit patreon.com/myxxfly, and I'll see you around. Oh, nice. I was about to look in the camera and see if my hair is popping or what I needed to do to make sure it is popping. It's popping. Check out that photo on Instagram. Are you recording? Sweet.